Jody Allen was on maternity leave with her first child and pregnant with her second when she was made redundant. The loss of income put a huge strain on her family's budget, and when the Adelaide mum did the maths, she realized they could only afford to spend $50 a week on food. I cried for about 6 weeks. Like everyone else, I absolutely fell into a heap until I realized it wouldn't do me any good, Jody told Mamma Mia. That was when I got to work and thought, well, I've got absolutely nothing to lose, except everything if I don't try. So Jody set to work, first taking stock of everything in her freezer, fridge and cupboard and using it all up. I found out cans of creamy pumpkin soup and I'd even eat it. Just little things like that. You get into the habit of food shopping and buying the same thing over and over and you don't realize how much you actually have. So I started designing recipes that would use all that food up. That saved me a lot of money in the first couple of months. Next, she went about overhauling her shopping list, changing the way she cooked, and spending some time in the garden, to successfully get her weekly supermarket docket down to $50. Jody, her husband, and her boys, now aged 9 and 10, lived on that same $50 budget for 4 years. At the same time, she began sharing tips on her blog turned website Stay at Home Mum. Now, Jody, the author of 4 books, the latest of which, the $50 Weekly Shop, Weekday Dinners, is packed full of tips and recipes for how anyone can reduce their spend at the supermarket. Because she's nice like that, Jody has shared with Mamma Mia a few of the ways she keeps her food expenses in check. Still making moussaka when eggplants are $10 a kilo. It's not the best idea, says Jody. The mum of 2 sticks to fruits and veggies that are in season, because they're cheaper and out of season produce tastes terrible. Better yet, try growing some veggies in your own garden, so you know it will always be fresh. Even the yellowest of green thumbs can manage a herb garden. I do grow a lot in the backyard. Lots of herbs, lemon, watermelon, blueberries, things like that. They're easy to grow. I am certainly not a gardener. Filing cabinets are great, if you've got one. They're the perfect place to store your important documents and, most of the time, they're full of labels so everything is easy to find when you need it. Jody's freezer is exactly the same. She says her leftovers are packed in clearly labeled containers, so you know exactly what's inside and when it was good. She also has a handy hint so you don't even need to open the lid to know what's inside. I use my freezer as a whiteboard. I write down everything I've got. It only takes a few seconds to update it as I go. So if I am making curried sausages, I'll cook enough for 6 meals and put a heap in the freezer for later, and it goes on the freezer. Listen, Meg Mason shares why nightly cooking is a nightmare in her house. Post continues, speaking of leftovers, Jody always has a huge supply. For her they're not an afterthought or happy accident, but a major focus of her meal planning. It saves me having to cook every night.